Hello everyone and welcome to an iconic SUV that is pretty much synonymous with this region and pretty much popular among the off-roaders, and the name itself is pretty much enough to let you know how capable this car is, which is this Nissan Patrol Super Safari. At first I thought, why should I review this car, because it's just pointless, it's pretty much popular, like no one needs a review on this car. But I still wanted to show you how simple this car is, and if you want to travel back in time, then yes, this is kind of the machine that you want to check out. So in today's video we're going to be finding out everything in detail about this Patrol Super Safari. But before we move forward, please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking that red subscription button, and next to that there's a bell icon. Make sure to press that and leave all the notifications on, so that way you will never miss any video updates from my channel. Now let me begin from the front. So you get this chrome grille out here, a slimmer one with this Nissan badging. Again, not the newer version of the badge out here, but the older version of the Nissan badging in chrome. And at the bottom you would find this big chunky bumper which looks pretty much off-road ready as well. And at the bottom there's also this skid plate. There are more open vents out here, so you can have more cooling as well, because this has a 4.8 liter V6 engine. And when it comes to these headlights, these are the halogen headlights. The entire cluster is actually halogen. The turn signals are out here halogen. There's no DRL and all that fuss. And at the bottom there is this halogen fog lights as well with this chrome surround around it. So if you look at it from the front, it looks pretty much off-road ready. And there is also a towing hook that has been given at the bottom, so in case someone gets stuck and you want to remove them, which is more likely, or if you get stuck, which is less likely, then you can use that hook. And on the sides you get the 17-inch black and chrome combination alloy rims out here with the Nissan badging in the center. And you can see there's a lot of dirt on the tires, so yeah, I've done a fair bit of off-roading. I'm going to take you later on. There are also these arches on the side on the fenders which are in the grey color, so that you don't damage your body, but then it's more to look like an off-roader. And there's a lot of suspension gap that you can see out here, so there's a lot of travel as well. There's also this fixed board, sideboard, which has been given. Again, pretty much simple, no nonsense motorized thing and all of that. Even in the back there are arches which are in grey color, 17-inch rims, and this decal which mentions Super Safari out here, which is again a part of this car, so you need to have those stickers so that people know that this is a Super Safari. And also this is again a very important bit, which is 4800 VTC. So that's basically your 4.8 liter engine. I'm going to come to that later on. And when you come to these side mirrors, these are non-power foldable but power adjustable side mirrors. These are in this chrome one, but a dull chrome that way, and it's also does not have any blind spot warning or anything. It's just very simpler, which is why I said this car is. There's also this antenna which you can roll down. Everything is like it's like traveling back in time. And like big windows out here. On top there is that spoiler in the back. There's also a sunroof, and you get a dual tone color combination on this one. So this dark gray that you see out here is also on top out here, that has been given. So yeah, that way you get that dual tone. And when you come to these doors, again simpler, no keyless entry door or anything. You just put your key, but this has the remote control where you can unlock the car. And yeah, I want you to listen to these doors, because the sound of them is just so satisfying. It's just that clunkiness. Alright, I need to stop. Let's go in the back. Now in the back the simplified design continues. So you get these halogen tail light cluster, complete halogen tail light cluster. At the bottom there is this split turning signal that has been given. There is also this grey colored chunky bumper that has been given. There's also this towing hook, so if you want to tow some caravans or something, you can do that as well. And the Super Safari badging that has been given out here, and also the Super Safari out here. Lots of places they've mentioned that. And Nissan Patrol again in the chrome. And this is like the cover for your spare wheel that has been mounted out here, so you open it with your key, unlock it, and then remove the spare wheel, which is again a very simpler process instead of the wheel being mounted at the bottom. Have you ever tried that? Yeah, it's a very complicated process. This is a very simpler one. Just remove the bolts and put the tires. So there is also this rear wiper that has been given, but in order to open the boot, I'm going to show you, it's like a split one, because you can see out here. And as I mentioned, there is also this spoiler that has been given, and a lot of ruggedness like a plastic bits out here on the bumper. And there's also one exhaust that has been given underneath the bumper, and it's a little muted one, because usually you would think that this car would go like me, yeah, that thing, but you have to modify, and then yeah, that thing exhaust will make that sound. Now when you come to the boot space, so you get a double door out here, so you open this one, and then there is another latch using which you open the next one. Now these seats are folded up, but when the third row seats are folded down, now I actually don't know in liters what is the capacity, but I know for sure that it's not that much when third row seats are folded up. So when you fold down the third row of seat, it's a bit of a complicated process. You pull the levers and stuff which are given in the back, and then you pull this string, and then lift the seats, and because it's not a gas strut or anything, it's just there with a hinge, so you really have to physically lift these seats and put the straps on out there and hook these seats. But then you get an even sort of luggage space, very even, I would say, just the seats that occupy a little bit of that boot space. And there's also this carpet lining out here. There are also hooks that have been given so that you can tie down your luggage. There are also 112 volt power socket, some more floating hooks that have been given, and the second row seat is foldable in a ratio of 50:50. So straight you can do that from here. So I'm just gonna fold down one, and again, I don't know in liters how much you can store, but it just opens up a lot of space where you can load the vertical objects out here. But there's a huge amount of step when these seats are folded down, so I tried to fold them in the other way when if you're going to be entering through into the third row seat. But yes, that's still the seat is floating, but you can do that, and you can then still have that step which is going down. So yeah, there is a step that will be there, so that just hinders a little bit of the usage of that boot space when you fold down the second row of seat. But otherwise, yes, everything is all rugged out here, built to last for like decades that way. There's also this slight scuff plate that has been given. Again, don't bother because it's all plastic, so you can all replace it when everything goes bad. And there is also this door out here where you can customize a lot of things. On the other side as well, you can customize and put a lot of things, so a lot of things that you can do. And also listen to the sound of these boot doors when they close. That is such a music to the ears. Now once you step inside this Patrol Super Safari, you are actually taken back in time. So if you want to go like 10-15 years back, how the cars look, yes, this is how they look. Because again, everything out here is about simplicity, ruggedness and durability. So this dashboard, yes, it's pretty much like plastic, hard one. Even on the door cards, there's a little bit of soft touch materials out here. This tan leather that has been given for perforated one, we're going to be resting hands, again that's a soft one, but otherwise plastic. Even at the bottom there's plastic, and then there are these wood inserts, like plastic wooden inserts out here, even on the handrest, everywhere, even on the steering wheel. So all these are given as well. And there's also this Super Safari badging which is given out here, and also in the seats in the backrest, and even on the handrest as well out here in the center, the Super Safari badging. So yeah, as I mentioned, there is lots of places where Super Safari has been mentioned. But yes, overall ruggedness, durability, as I said, that's what the purpose of this car is. And again, simplicity, which is why everything is like bare basic, and in some ways I actually like it. Now when it comes to the driver's display, again, no digital cluster or anything, straightforward dials, traditional ones right in front of your face. So there's a odometer, there's also the rev counter, there's also everything, speedometer, all of that which is given out here. There's this one button where you can set your trip A, trip B, and your total kilometers that this car has done. How simple is that? And you can even see small bit of information, like if you're in 4-wheel drive or traction controls off and all of that on this screen on corners and in the middle. So that's about it. Now when it comes to the steering wheel, this is nice and big steering wheel, and this is a hydraulic steering wheel. So I'm going to come to that when we go on the drive. But yeah, you need to do a lot of turns, so like 1 3/4 quarter of a turn. So like from one end to the other is 3.5 sort of turns that you have to do on the steering wheel, on this big super chunky one with this leather covering with the stitching around, and in the middle there's also Nissan badging in the chrome. So the steering wheel is pretty big that way, so you have to really maneuver it. And on the right side you have the buttons for your standard cruise control that has been given. Again, the buttons are also pretty big, really have to memorize them. And on the left side you would find the buttons for your media controls and the communication and all of those buttons. And the steering wheel is also manually, which is the lever is also pretty, it's just tiltable, that's the only thing. So that's also pretty hard, the whole thing. And then you lock that in place. Like, everything has to be about off-roading, so which is why everything is meant to be very tough and lasting. And that is why that is that. Now when you come to the air conditioning controls, again, dials are given, 3 dials, that's it, that's your air conditioning system. So you press this on and off in the right side, and then that's your fan dial. The middle one is your air conditioning dial, and there is also this dial for the flow of air. And you get dual zone air conditioning system, so single zone out here in the front, and for the second and the third row there is a separate zone, and for that you would adjust it from the second row of seats. So that is pretty much your air conditioning controls. Now when you come to this infotainment screen, this is, I don't know what size of infotainment screen that is, but it's a TFT screen for sure. And on the day it's pretty much blur, and it's actually like a vertical screen that has been mounted, and a pretty tiny one that way, so you really have to look down to see what's going on there. On your main screen you would find your radio option, then also your audio player, and inside the radio option you can adjust like this whole thing in the center. Then the audio player, where you find the connectivity option. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect it to this infotainment system using this aux. There's also Bluetooth, USB, and you will be surprised there is also Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but the wired one, but nonetheless that's been given, so you can even use your Google Maps, so your maps is sorted out. That's one good thing with this one. There's also this video player, so whenever you're plugged in any USB you can see that. Phone, when you're connected, mobile link is basically your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, your settings, in which you will find very basic audio system. In a way I actually like it, because you don't have to think a lot about what's going on your screen. Just put things and then just keep driving, that's it. And there are also buttons which are given out here on both the sides. So for your home, then your on and off button, then your volume on the other side, mute, and your volume lowering button as well. Instead, if there was a knob, it would have been easier, but anyways, nonetheless, it doesn't matter. Now when you come to the charging, you get only one USB port which is given out here, which also acts as an Android Auto, Apple CarPlay connectivity port. That's about it. And there's also one 12-volt power socket that has been given out here. And for the rear passengers, again, there is nothing that has been given. So that's pretty much it out here that you get, like in terms of the charging. Now when it comes to the storage, you can put a lot of storage, because there are door bins and everywhere there's like small pocket storage everywhere. So out here in the door cards, you can easily put like 1.5, 2, 3 bottles out there in the door cards. That's how, I don't know how they managed to do that. There's also this slot out here where you can put your phones and everything. And there is also this ashtray which has been given, and this ashtray is pretty much everywhere in the car. So it's out here in the front, in the second row I think, and then even in the third row this ashtray has been given. Again, that pretty much dates back to like older times. And there are these 2 cup holders, normal cup holders, but you can even lift them, and then if you want to clean it, you can clean and then put these back again. So that's one more thing. There's also this glove box that has been given, decently big. There's also this slot on top, so when you connect your phone you can put it out here. And then there is this another slot that has been given out here, and that's also a wireless charger that has been given on this one. So there is a dash of modern touches as well on this Super Safari. There's also this big storage that has been given in the center armrest, in which there are 4 slots which are for your 4 half a liter water bottle, and it's also a cooled box. So the button is given out here, so you press it, you see it's a little loud that way. So when you press that, you can cool the bottles inside. So when you go off-roading, you have cooler water available. Then there are also buttons which are given, click that and switch on the rear AC, and there's also a sub tank button. So this car comes with 2 fuel tanks. So there's one 93 liter fuel tank, and there is another one which is a 40 liter. So in case you are out of petrol when you are off-roading, then you can simply switch to that sub tank and you can use that 40 liters of fuel, and then you can come out from there. So yeah, that's like a backup fuel tank that has been given on this one. Again, even these air conditioning vents, yes, it's all plastic, everything. Like, yeah, it's so simple to operate this car. There are also 2 gear levers if you are wondering. So one is the gear lever, that's one which is with a lot of chrome around, so that's your traditional gear lever that has been. And then there's another one which is your lever to switch this car into your 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, your 4 low or your neutral. So this is all mechanical and there is nothing electronic on this one, so you have to manually put this car into 4-wheel drive or a 2-wheel drive and all of that. And also there is also this knob that has been given for your differential lock, so you can switch on and off from here and then simply just lock the rear differential that has been given on this Patrol Super Safaris. And yeah, you're basically off-road ready with all of that. There's no modes where you press this and then all of that thing. But yes, this is a little bit of a workout because this stick is a little hard, and then we've forgotten how the older cars used to operate. Even this steering is a power steering, so that's also a bit of an effort when you're kind of driving it. Now in terms of the visibility, actually it's kind of ordered, but there's this one in the middle, there's a pillar, so that hinders that essential visibility right in your face. But because the rear glasses are big, so it's still not gonna be a lot of things, because it's still not gonna be a lot of problems, because overall the visibility on this car is absolutely, I mean, it's like sitting in a bus and right on top, and even the driving position is quite high, so you have a very commanding position with these taller windows, so you get a lot of 360 visibility around as well. Now on this Patrol Super Safari you get a standard sunroof, but that is pretty big enough. I wonder why there isn't a bigger one on the petrol, because if there is on this one, definitely there can be on the petrol also. And otherwise there are just buttons and stuff. There's also a storage for your sunglasses. Yes, that used to be a thing back then, so even that is what you get. And there are these grab handles which are given out here on the driver side, passenger side. Even in the back there are lots of grab handles for the second row of passenger, like couple of them. Even in the third row there are handles which are given, so when you go off-roading, people can hold on to something while you go nuts driving this thing. Now when you come to these seats, these are tan color leather seats, and they are perforated as well, but they are not cooled or heated. It's just for the design purposes. And the seats, they are pretty broad and pretty thick that way, and they are comfortable during the longer journeys for sure, because comfort out here is absolutely amazing. Even though this is bare basic, but it's still pretty nicely done that way in terms of the comfort level. Longer journeys are going to be quite comfortable, and the driver and the passenger side seat both are 8-way electronically adjustable. But there is also this lever that has been used for your lumbar control, like a manual one, so you twist it and the lumbar support comes at the bottom for you, but it's only for the driver side, not the passenger side. And there are also a couple of headrests and the Super Safari badging that has been given on the backrest, but that is only for the front 2 seats and not for the second and the third row of seats. Now in the second row, the driver seat is in my driving position, and there's just about enough room for my knees that way. There's a bit of a cutout as well, but if you notice, I'm actually sitting quite low down, because the rear second row of seat is also like quite low that way, and which is why you can see the angle my legs are making. There's not enough of support underneath my thigh, but these seats are still pretty much comfortable in terms of that. So during longer journeys they are still going to be all right, and they are the same tan color with the perforated seats, but they are not the cooled or the heated one, just for the design purposes. And these seats are also slidable, but they are in the backmost position, and if I put them in the front, I don't think I will have enough of knee room, but just to essentially give more room for the third row of passenger. And I can just about slide my legs under the seats, but there's not much room for that as well, because the floor is also quite raised, although there's no tunnel out here, so it's literally flat. So someone in the middle can also sit, so there'll be like, even though the seats are divided into 50:50, but that cut in the middle, that's still not going to be uncomfortable. It's still going to be comfortable that way for the middle passenger also. Now, in terms of the air conditioning, as I said, you get actually a separate air conditioning system only. So there's a compressor which is mounted on the left side in the rear. You can actually hear it whenever you're sitting here, so that compressor switches on and off, and you can set the fan speed from here, and the on off button that has been given out here. It's very simple that way, but the temperature is controlled from the front knob that has been given. There's also this ashtray that has been given, as I mentioned, so that's one more thing. And there are also air conditioning vents which are given out here for the second row of passenger, which are mounted on the roof, and also the same for the third row of passenger, which are mounted out here. There's no storage in the door cards, and in terms of the quality of the door cards, you get soft touch materials out here. We're going to be resting hands, and on the sides perforated tan leather that has been given, more handles that are given, and more rugged ones for the off-roading that are given in the front. And in terms of the third row, I mean, I was going to show you the third row, but then I thought, like, there's no point, because though this is a 7-seater car, but the seats are kind of alright. This second row is already quite low. The third row is in fact even lower, and then you can just about fit a couple of people. But it's just that if you have absolute necessity, then only you can put people out there. But most of the times, you're just gonna load this car with a lot of things in the back, with the third row folded upwards. So that's your third row of seat. That is, there are also cup holders which are given on one of the sides on the right for the third row of passenger, but that is pretty much it in terms of how the space is in the back. And the seats are also quite easily foldable. There are like a couple of levers which are given on either side, so you can fold down these seats also. Now, one of the primary reasons why you would buy a Nissan Patrol Super Safari is because you most likely like to do a lot of off-roading, and this is one of the best machines, like out of the box, that is capable to do all of that while also being just very simple to operate. But let me start this by going straight into the off-roading. So let me put this car into the four-wheel. Takes a little while mechanically. Yes, so now I'm engaged into four-wheel drive, and I'll switch the traction control off, and I'm going to leave the rear diff locks off for now because I don't need that. So off we go. And just like the road surface, it also continues on the sand itself without any fuss. You can just directly start. I mean, look at me. I literally have zero knowledge about off-roading, and I'm very likely that I'm gonna get stuck sometime like that. So but not in this one for sure. So this Patrol Super Safari comes with a 4.8 liter 6-cylinder engine that produces 280 horsepower and 451 Newton meters of torque, and this engine is mated to a 5-speed automatic transmission, just 5. And the reason there is 5 is it gives you a better control over off-roading for sure, because my gears are longer holding it like this, and then I can have more fun, and the power is instant. Like, whoa, the steering setup, everything comes alive when you take this car off-roading. And as I said, that's why this car is all about. I'm actually creating a local sandstorm out here, and that engine really comes alive. It's just that at lower RPM it's a little sluggish because it's so huge. The bigger bores and everything makes this engine pretty slow initially. There's a lot of clunkiness and all of that, but it's all raw and it's all basic on this one. There is 4-wheel drive, and I've just put it into that one. You can put it in 4 low also if you need a lower range. And not just that, you can just switch off the traction control and off you go. That's about it. And this engine is one of the finest because it's a DOHC VTC. So it's one of the best engines that Nissan has in fact produced. So it makes sense to continue this car for a longer time, and these are one of the last days when we'll be able to see these sort of engines before everything goes either hybrid or electric. But yes, such a fun. I mean, I'm just doing smaller dunes right now, not bigger dunes. I would admit, and I'm not really, pushing this car. But whatever I am doing, yes, it is able to do. There's softer suspension setup, and on this everything just makes sense. When you're doing off-roading, even the steering, which is the hydraulic steering, and yeah, let me do a little bit of that and then come on to the road test after that, because yes, I can do this forever. It's just so good at what it is doing right now. And in the day where everything is electronic drift, this just offers everything pure basic, everything just out of the box. Do this. Whoa. And then once you're done hooning about, that's a big one. Whoa. Yes, so once you're done hooning about, you're off-roading, you can just come out, slide your way out. I've actually created a lot of smoke. And now I'm going to put this car into neutral, two-wheel drive, traction control on, and off we go. Now on road, the suspension is a little softer and you can feel it, especially this is a very big car, and when you're going to be turning, it's a lot of roll actually on road. And also in terms of the steering setup, it feels a little lazy in terms of its performance on road. But yeah, I get it, this is all big SUV problems, but I mean, if you just consider it that it can do all that, then I mean, it's all right to live with that factor. And yeah, it's a pretty top heavy car as well, so but it's never gonna topple, that's for sure, because I can feel it when I'm driving it. Oh, yes. It's sort of started to cry now. Okay. In terms of now the engine and the gearbox on road, yes, initially, as I said, even though this is a naturally aspirated engine, it struggles a little bit at lower RPMs because this is a huge engine with the bigger bores inside the cylinder, so they take a long time before they start delivering the power. But nonetheless, you can understand how the engine works and accordingly work, but not this way all the time being shouty. I'm just too aggressive with my throttle, which is why this is happening. In terms of the noise and the vibrations, yes, there is quite a bit of noise that you will hear, as you are probably hearing all the rattling which is going on in the back, because there's a lot of things, and there is a bit of a wind whooshing also that's audible. There's also a bit of tire noise, but this is very basic car, which is why I understand all these problems do come with it, because the only purpose of this car is to do something more off-roading, and on-road is just like a plus thing maybe, and also 7 seats. Now when you come to the comfort when you're driving this thing, yes, that's another big aspect of driving this thing, because even off-roading it's super comfortable, and I mean really comfortable. And when you go into the brakes, you get 4-disc brakes, and let me show you the performance by doing an emergency 100 to 0, because yes, there's also ABS, but there's no emergency stop signal. And thing is, the car is huge and you really feel when you're kind of braking it, and a lot of momentum also shifts in the front. Probably there's a biasing in the front as well, but the pedal itself is very soft, and you actually have to put a long way in, and then you will have that full braking action. Of course, you're not going to be doing that every day, but otherwise also the brake pedal itself has a sponginess to it. So that's about it. Now when you come to the safety systems, you get 2 front airbags for the driver and the passenger. There are also ABS. There is also a single camera reversing system, but the camera output is kind of alright, I would say. It's very grainy, and it's also mounted in a very weird way where it's actually looking down instead of showing you a little bit of that the road. But yeah, it's just given, at least like it's better to see something, because this car is huge and reversing it yeah, with that towing hook and all, yeah, it's very easy after that. There is no child isofix points in both the rear seats, so there is something that you can make a point of. But overall, yes, the car itself is just very basic. I keep mentioning that, but it is pretty basic. And you know, I like in certain ways that, you know, it's just easier to drive this thing. Just sit in it, put it into 4-wheel drive, and then start doing your stuff. But then sometimes you just feel that yes, it needs a little bit of dash of, you know, modernness as well. Even the suspension system, actually, in the front you have a 3-link suspension system, and in the back you have 5-link suspension system, which is why it gets all that agility to do, you know, that off-roading. In fact, I'm again going to do the off-roading, so let me just put this car into neutral first. Yeah, it takes a little while. Traction control off, and off we go. So yeah, again, so easy. Now the thing is, when you come to the pricing, this particular version, which is the Super Safari, comes in at 196,000 dirhams approximately, and for all that you get a big car, you get a bigger engine, and a very direct one, by the way, because it's very non-intrusive when you switch off everything. So yeah, that's the best part of why you should go for this one. But then there's a lot of, you know, unpolished stuff on this car that nowadays, yeah, people may not like it. But again, this is such a great car for this particular region, because yes, you can just buy this car and then you can make it off-road ready. You can add bits to it, and it can actually be like a project car for, you know, your future builds. And for that, this is an excellent thing. And I see that, you know, a lot of people will be doing. And if you come ever to UAE, or if you are here in UAE, you probably know, and you've seen so many cars like these around. And the particular reason is that it's just so easy to do this, and everything is mechanical, nothing electronic. And I see this car that way is going to continue, although Nissan has plans to you know, kind of cancel this thing later on. But which is why these are one of the last moments where you can enjoy this thing out like this, in this form, which is raw. And trust me, that way this car is fantastic. But when you look at it from an overall point of view, I get it why it just doesn't make sense. Oh, there's a big dune that I'm trying to cross. Oh yes. So yeah, that way it's kind of nice to have this sort of cars once in a while to understand where we've come, you know, in the modern days. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up, and thank you for watching this video. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here. And if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye. Take care and stay safe.